Shalom Aleichem. Tonight is the Yortzeit of the Zera Shimshon. We're running a little late today, unfortunately, but I'm telling you this week, I just told them, I want to tell the people on the camera, I was trying to record this lecture all week, but things came up. It's already Thursday. I usually record it by Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday. Couldn't do it this week. Whatever reason. Hashem wanted us to do it tonight. Tonight is the 6th of Elul. 6th of Elul is the Yortzeit of Rabbi Shimshon Chaim Nachmani, Alav Shalom. And it's an extra segulah to learn his Torah on his Yortzeit, even more so than the rest of the year. So Bezat Hashem, all the promises that he put in his introduction should fall upon us and all of Israel. And Zechuto Yaganelu, Amen. Ken Yiratzon. We're going to learn Parashat Shoftim. This is the last drush he has. I believe it's drush Zayin. It's the drush that he has on the Haftarah. So usually I like to do the ones on the Torah, but he has some chidushim on the Haftarah. It says over here, Midrash Al-Kuti brings you a Midrash from Al-Kut Shimoni. Says the following: Amar Rabbi Abba, Bar Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Abba, the son of Rabbi Shimon, said, Bar Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, the son of Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, he said, Mashal lemelech sheka'as al matrona. You can learn the following parable. If you had a king who got very angry at his wife or one of his mistresses, right? His queen. V'tarda b'hotzi'ah mitoch pelatin shelo, and he kicked her out of his palace. He got very upset with her, kicked her out of his palace. After some time passed, right, everybody calms down, everybody thinks about what they did. Bikesh lachzira, he wanted her back. Couldn't live without her, he wanted her back. Amra, she came back, she said, if you want me back, yichpol li ketubati, double my ketubah. What's ketubah? Ketubah is a document that when they get married, then in the case of divorce or if Chas v'shalom the husband dies and she becomes widowed, the woman is entitled to certain monetary benefits, so she is financially protected. So here she says, you want me back? Whatever amount you put in the ketubah first, double it. Then you could take me back. This is the mashal. What's the nimshal? What do we compare it to? Kach amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael b'Sinai. This is what Hashem said to the Jews at Mount Sinai. Amarti lachem pa'am achat. He says at Mount Sinai, when God gave the Torah, the Ten Commandments, the opening word of the Ten Commandments was what word? Anochi. Aleph Nun Chaf Yud. Anochi. A very formal way of saying I. Anochi Hashem l'kecha. Right? The first commandment is I am Hashem your God. So the whole Ten Commandments is understood as being like fathered by that word Anochi, because everything is hinted in there. Yerushalayim le'atil lavo, but in the future in Yerushalayim, Ani omer lachem, I will tell you, God says to Bnei Israel, Shtei pa'amim anochi anochi hu menachemchem. I'm going to tell you anochi twice. I'm going to double the anochi. What pasuk is that referring to? That's referring to the very first pasuk in the Haftarah, this week's Haftarah, which starts with the words anochi anochi hu menachemchem. I, God is speaking, right, to the prophet Isaiah. That's the Haftarah. I am the one who's going to console you. Why consoling? We're right now in the middle of something called 7 Haftarot of consolation. Right after Tisha B'Av, 7 weeks in a row, we have Haftarot that have to do with God consoling us. Don't worry, I'm with you, I love you, we're going to be back together. And this is one of them. These 7 are very strong. There's halachot about which Haftarot you say every week, depending on what comes out or what doesn't come out. Right? For example, last Shabbat was what? Rosh Chodesh Elul. Usually on Rosh Chodesh, when it falls on Shabbat, there's a special Haftarah about Rosh Chodesh to be read. But that one was not read last week. Rather, we read the one that's the one of the 7 consolations, because it's that powerful. It's unbreakable. So same thing over here. God says, I gave you Anochi at Mount Sinai. In the future, when I console you in times of Mashiach, it's going to be double Anochi, double I. So now, this is an interesting midrash, but Zera Shimshon has serious questions on this. Kashe, this is problematic. Ma yitin uma yosif le'Yisrael shevach kaful shel milat Anochi. What's the big deal? What exactly is the benefit that we're getting from 2 Anochis? Okay, Anochi means I. We had 1 eye at Mount Sinai, 2 later in Yerushalayim. What do we benefit from 2 eyes? What does that mean practically? What's the point of doubling them? What's the idea? ומתחילה היינו יכולים לומר שעניין כפל זה היינו ממה שמצינו שהאונס והמפתה חייבים 50 סלע שהם 200 זוז כמו הבתולות. So first you can figure it out from the following. We have a concept in halakha about women. Let's say a guy, chas v'shalom, violated a girl. He came upon her, she was a virgin girl, now she's not a virgin, nobody wants her. The halakha is, if the guy is caught and there's witnesses and everything, he is taken to Beit Din, and Beit Din, the Torah says, he has to pay the father of the girl an amount of money called 50 selah. Selah is like a weight, like a silver coin. 50 selah he has to pay. So if you do conversions, there's different monetary monies that we speak about in Torah. A conversion of selah to zuzim, zuz is like the golden coin, there's going to be 200, matayim zuz, 200 zuz. So he has to pay 200 zuz for violating the girl. Not only that, he has to marry her. And he's never allowed to divorce her. That's a mitzvah straight in the Torah. That's what it says. That's one situation. You have another situation called the hamotzi shemra, someone who creates a bad name about a girl. That situation is if the guy got married to a girl, normally, whatever, they went to the whole wedding, and the day after the wedding, after the night of their first time together, he says, she's no good. She's not a virgin. I thought she was a virgin, but she's not a virgin. I didn't see any blood. That's the claim he makes. But really, she did have blood. So he's lying. So the Torah speaks about over there what happens that the father of the bride, if he's able to get the bed sheets, which have the proof of the blood on them, and he shows them, he produces them in Bedim, there is the machlok in the Gemara whether or not he has to actually bring bed sheets or whether he has to bring witnesses. Whole thing. Bottom line, he proves it. He proves that she was a virgin. In this case also, he has to keep her, the husband has to keep her, and he's never allowed to divorce her as a penalty. You try to defame her name, now you prove that you were wrong, she's yours forever now. Right? Now again, this is as long as the woman wants it as well. Not only does he have to keep her forever, in the Motzi Shemra case, where he was proved that she was actually a virgin, also he has to pay a penalty. What's the penalty he has to pay? 100 selah. So that's 100 selah is going to be 400 zuz. So the point is it's 50 in the previous case and 100 in this case. It's a double. And then, therefore, same thing over here. You could apply the concept to God and Bnei Israel. האישה שזינתה תחת בעלה יוצאה מתחת ידו ומפסידת כתובתה ואסורה לחזור לו עולמית. He says the whole idea of the 200 and the 100 you apply here as well, because what happened was the Motzi Shemra case. Here he explains here. If so, כשהמלך גירש את המטרונה, and when the king kicked out his queen, והוציאה מתוך בלטין, kicked her out of his palace, הרי הוציא עליה שם רע שזינתה. What did he do by doing that? He did something called Motzi Shemra. He put out a bad name about her. It says she did this, she cheated on me, whatever the case was. She's, slept around, whatever the case was. That was his claim upon her. ומעתה שבא להחזירה, נראה ברור שבדק בדברים ולא מצא בהם ממש. And now that he wants to get her back, what does that mean? He must have done an investigation and figured out that he was wrong and that he really wants her back. Just like the Motzi Shemra case with the blood and everything. שהאמת הוא, that the truth was, שלא זינתה תחתיו, that she really didn't cheat on him. ומשום הכי מותרת לו ולכן בא להחזירה, and that's why he wants to get her back. ומשום הכי, that's why המטרונה תובעת שכפול. That's why she says, you want me back after you defamed my name, embarrassed me? Give me double my ketubah. Just like the Motzi Shemra case, he has to pay double whatever the first case was. The first case was the violation case. The Motzi Shemra case, he has to pay double. Right? Over there was 50 selah, here's 100 selah. לפי שכיוון שגירשה מביתו היו הכל אומרים שהיא זינתה וזהו דין ומשפט של הכפל כי הוציא שם רע על בתולת ישראל ממש. Right? Basically what we explained. וזה הטעם שהאחר שהגעלנו הקדוש ברוך הוא, and this is the same reason, right? This is all compared to that Midrash compared the case of the king and the queen to the case of God and the Jews, right? We're like God's wife, so to speak. And when God threw us in Galut, that was like when the king kicks the queen out. He threw, I don't want you guys, at least for now, temporarily. You guys sinned, you're terrible. But then at the end, he's going to do a double anochi. What does it mean? He's going to want us back. And he's going to have to pay us double the goodness that he paid us at Mount Sinai. There was only one anochi at Mount Sinai, but in the future, when he takes us back, he's going to give us double the good. And not only that, just like in the case of Motzi Shemra, when he takes her back, he's never allowed to divorce her. Same thing. She will be his wife forever. We're going to be God's wife forever in the future, so to speak. After that, no more galut, no more exiles. That's going to be the final straw, and God's going to keep us forever. Good. That's his first step. The next step, he goes a little deeper. This is a long piece. I'm just going to give you the highlights, not the whole thing. Look what he says now. Nevertheless, we have to do some more digging, he says here. Binyan pretiyot hashevach shel anochi. He says, what's the big deal? What is the praise of the word anochi? This midrash promises double anochi in the future. What does anochi even mean? Katav Ramaz, the Ramaz writes, B'shem lechem hamudot al pasuk anochi Hashem lekecha. In the name of another book called Lechem Hamudot, on the first verse of the Ten Commandments, I am Hashem your God. Shemilat anochi, that the word anochi romezet lashchina besod nekuda pinimit. It hints to the deepest part of the supernal structure. Let's give you an introduction first. So, God created the world with a very simple basis, template that runs through the entire universe. We call it the 10 Sefirot. 10 lights, 10 emanations that come from the first flash of light from God's infinite oneness. The first flash of light was this separation into 10 lights, 10 different lights. Each one has a different power, has a different attribute. We call them midot, right? You heard them all the time. Chesed, din, tiferet, you hear them. Chokhmah, binah, these are all different attributes, okay? And there's a very special structure of them. And each one of them connects to a certain part of your body, connects to a certain part of the world, and each one of them connects to a process that's happening in the world all the time. Everything, the entire existence is dictated by how these lights interact. Because after that comes the next world, and the next world, the next world. It's all reflections of those lights. Until you get to the bottom, which is the world of Asiyah, the world of action, which is our world. And basically down here, we're just seeing those lights manifest, and we also now we activate those lights. You do sins, you do avil, chas v'shalom, you do mitzvot, and every word you speak, everything, every thought almost that you think, activates or deactivates some of these lights in the world. The top of these lights is called Keter. Keter means a crown. Which part of the body does it connect to, represent? The tefillin of the Rosh, where you place that, right here, right? And the little soft spot, when the baby's born, he has a little soft spot on his head over here. Scientifically, why is that? Because there's 3 bones. There's a parietal bone, they're both called parietal, right and left parietal bone, and the frontal bone of the skull. And in between the bones, there's this little collagen-like, cartilage-like in your nose, soft tissue that makes it flexible. Why? In order so the baby can easily come out of the mother without getting stuck, right? The flexibility is needed. But even after it comes out, it takes about 1 to 2 years for this, it's called a suture, it's called where the 3 bones meet, to fully harden into bone. Until then, it's always soft. The doctor always checks it whenever he's doing checkups on the baby. And that's the exact spot where your tefillin of the head is supposed to go when he grows up. Why? That's the plug-in. Lehavdil 1,000 avdalot, right? I'm not saying you should watch movies, but many people are Balei Tishvot, and they've seen this movie, so I can mention it. The Matrix. You know The Matrix. Famous movie. Remember the plug-in that he had in the back of his head? So, Lehavdil, it's almost like a plug-in over here. It's only in the front of the head, okay? It's the plug-in into the upper realms. It's the keter, it's the crown, the spiritual crown that goes over here. It says Adam HaRishon was created with that on his head. With the tefillin as a part of his skin. After the sin, it was separated, and he had to start doing it later. Right, when they were commanded, when the Jews were commanded as tefillin, that was a new mitzvah they had to start doing. Nevertheless, so the keter means the crown. It's the first, the light of keter, what does it represent? It represents the ratzon, meaning the will of God. For anything to be created and to exist, first you need the ratzon. Which means you need a will to do it. If there's no will to make anything, nothing's going to exist. If no one thought in his head, I'm going to create a microphone so that you can amplify the sound on a video, this would never exist. The first seed, the intangible thought that came into the world first was somebody said, I want to make a microphone. I want to make something to amplify sound. Boom. Then it goes to the rest of the lights, the rest of the process. Chokhmah, binah, chesed, the actual building is the rest of it. Right? That applies to anything. A human being. Abba and Ima have to say, you know what? I want to have a child. The ratzon has to come. The will has to be dropped in their head. I want this. Want leads to production. That's what keter is. Okay? So the will of God, which is the ultimate ratzon, which is what put everything into motion, was that God said His will was, I want to give chesed. I want to bestow my goodness onto others. In order to do that, I have to create a universe. I have to create beings that will appreciate and understand that there's such a thing as others, so that I can give them. And that's how I created human beings, etc., etc. But that all started. The seed was in the keter, in the light of keter, in the highest world. Good. So that was the whole introduction. Now let's see what it says about that. He says over here now, the word Anochi means I. There's another word in Hebrew that means I. What is it? Ani. Very common word. They're spelled the same way. The only difference between Anochi and Ani is that Anochi has a chaf in the middle and Ani has no chaf. What does that represent? אבל אני הוא בחיצוניותה ben v'tet. He says like this. A lot of Kabbalistic concepts over here. We have something called the Shekhinah. The Shekhinah comes from the word shochen. Shochen means to dwell. It means like it also means neighbor, right? Shachen. Shachen means a neighbor because he dwells next to you. It means somebody who is, when another being is next to you, dwelling around you. That's called Shekhinah. Our whole goal in Torah mitzvot is to bring down God's Shekhinah. Is to have that, to feel Him around us. That's what it was in Bet Mikdash. That's why we're crying that we don't have it. What we have now is just a remnant of it, right? How can you get it? Learning Torah, especially halakha. The Gemara says, one guy learning halakha, in his 4 amot, Shekhinah can be felt. At the temple, at the western wall, Shekhinah can be felt, etc. In Kabbalah, we have different combinations of God's name that represent different parts of Him, so to speak, or different manifestations. The Shekhinah is represented by the name called Shem Ben. Ben. 52. Name of 52. Why is it called name of 52? Bet Nun, 52. Because you take God's name, which is the essence name, which is the Yud and the Hey and the Vav and the Hey, and you spell out each letter. Now there's different ways to spell out each letter. And when you plug in the different ways, you get different attributes and different powers. The one we're talking about now is Shekhinah. So Yud is always spelled the same way. Take the Yud, open it up. You get Yud, Vav, Daled. What's the gematria of that? 20. 20. Right? 10 and 10. Yud is 10, Vav 6, Daled 4, 10 and 10. Yud is 20. Next letter in God's name is Hey. The way we're going to spell it for this one is Hey, Hey. 2-letter Heys. You put a tere under, it's going to be Hey. Right? 5 and 5. What's 5 and 5? 10. Good. So we have 20 and 10, 30. Next letter is Vav. How are we going to spell Vav? Simple. Vav and Vav. Double. Vav. 12. 12 and what do we have? 30? 42. And the last one, Hey, we're going to spell the same way. Hey and a Hey. That's 5 and 5. That's 10. 10 plus 42, 52. That's Ben. And that's the name of Ben. Okay? So that's the Shekhinah. The whole supernal structure I was trying to explain to you before, the Keter and the rest of the 9 Sfirot, the whole goal is to bring down that Shekhinah, the presence of God, in our world, because we're all the way in the bottom, in the Malchut, the 10th one. We're down there. And Shekhinah is there as well. Our goal is to bring the Shekhinah there, is to dwell with us. God wanted to create a physical world where we can purify to the point where it will be eligible to house this Shekhinah. You understand? It depends on us. So that's what He wanted. And when He had the Mishkan and the Bet HaMikdash, for those windows in time, we had that. Right? But it got ruined. So we'll have to fix it again anyway. But the point is, the Shekhinah is supposed to, the Shekhinah, that name of God is supposed to come down. What does it come down through from the Keter? Keter, minus the Keter, everything else, the rest of the 10 is going to be 9, right? 9 levels, 9 steps. So we have the 9 plus the 52. That's where we want the 52 to travel down 9. 9 doors, so to speak. 9 plus 52 is what? 61. 61 is the same gematria of Ani. Aleph, Nun, Yud, Ani. Right? That's what God, Ani. God always refers to Himself as Ani. Ani Hashem Elokuchem. I am Hashem God who took you out, right? Because that's the point. 61, Ani has to come down. Ani is, by the way, also one of God's names. God has many names, as you know. One of them is Ani as well. Where you derive that is very fascinating, but I don't have the time for that right now. So further, look what He says. Okay, skip this part. Okay. So He says the difference between Ani and Anochi is that Anochi has the Chaf. Ani has no Chaf. What is the Chaf representing in the word Anochi? He says the Chaf is representing Keter. Keter starts with the letter Chaf. That's the top one. So when you have Keter, when God is using the word Anochi, He is giving you the insight of the whole picture. Meaning such an intimate connection. To reach the level of Keter is almost impossible. The Shlochot Habrit, very important Kabbalistic book, explains that Keter is not knowable to most of us. The only remnant of Keter you could access is the very bottom of Keter. And that very bottom of Keter is called Da'at, knowledge. You've heard Chabad, right? Chabad is Chokhmah, Bina, Da'at. Because Bina, Da'at are the next two, and Da'at is the middle one. The bottom of Keter. So that's what you could reach. And if you're on a huge, very high level, you can reach that. Beyond that is already God's infinity. Very hard to understand. But when God uses the Anochi, that's a help. It's an insight to reach that level. To reach the ultimate connection with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, with God. With the Anochi. The Ani is the whole supernal structure we explained, Ben 52, with 9. 9 means not including Keter. Keter is not included in there. So yes, there's a connection, there's a revelation on that level, but it's not as deep as Anochi. Because Anochi has the Chaf and the Keter in there. And that's what God showed us a glimpse of at Mount Sinai, when He gave us the Torah, and He opened up the Torah with Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am Hashem your God. And how do we know His ultimate connection? The Midrash says the people were dying and coming back to life. When they heard God's voice, the first 2 commandments God said, their neshamot came out. Why? Because God said Anochi. He used the Anochi. Their neshamot skyrocketed to Keter. And when it goes like that, you can't remain in the physical world that they were. They died. So God said He resurrected their deaths. No, it's too early. It's not yet. He sent the souls back down. He resurrected them. And then God continued the second commandment. Same thing happened because it was all connected to the Keter, all connected to Anochi. Once God uttered the first one, Anochi, that's it. It was like He gave them the keys to Da'at, to get there, connected them, and they couldn't handle it. That's what they said. They said to Moshe, you take the rest. We can't handle this. The rest is you, and you can handle going up to Keter. We can't. You do that, and then you tell us the rest, and we believe you. We trust you. Right? So that was the glimpse. And then God says, you think that was something? Wait till Mashiach comes. Wait till the end of days. Anochi, Anochi, menachemchem. Hu menachemchem. The first pasuk of our Haftarah this week. God says, double Anochi. I'm going to give you a double Anochi when I console you in the future. You're going to be in Keter, in that, around me and with me. To an unbelievable spiritual ecstasy you'll never understand until that day happens. That's the depth of the Anochi versus the Ani. Again, I summarized it, I paraphrased it, I gave some of my own insights because we're running short on time, but I think it still gives you the same juice over here. Baruch Hashem. That's what he says over here. And then, I'm going to give you one more thing over here. Another way we can explain we can explain the Midrash with the king and the queen. The queen said, you want me back? Give me double the ketubah. What is the connection of the Anochi to the ketubah? Right? Because the whole point was that Midrash connected those two ideas. So just like over here, he takes her back, double ketubah. Same thing, God's name, double Anochi. Okay. So you're comparing the ketubah to Anochi over here. What is it? What is the connection? שהרי הכתובה הוא מתנה שנותן הבעל לאשתו וכשכופל אותה היא מתנה כפולה שיש בה ממש. It says ketubah is a type of gift the husband gives to his wife. A guarantee, a security, an insurance. But it's something physical, it's something she can hold because she has the document. She holds the laws, she and her family is supposed to, her mother or something like that, her parents are supposed to have the ketubah by them. So it's a physical thing that he gives to her, a physical gift. Aval betevat anochi, but in the word anochi, kashet, the mamatana, he said, where's the physicality in anochi? What's the physical gift, so to speak, that God gives to the Jewish people? It's not a physical thing at all. It's not a document that you can hold and say, I have the money right here. It's not money, it's more beyond that. So what's the comparison? Omnam, nevertheless, b'masha amarnu nicha shapir. Based on what we said, we can explain it well. It says, Shimilat anochi, because the word anochi romezet lepenimut kedusha. Anochi hints to the deep connection to God, as we explained, the deepest of the deep, and the level of da'at and keter. And furthermore, anochi is what cleans out the bad from the good. It refines. It's a refinement. It's the ultimate refinement. That's what we're looking for in the future. This also is connected to the gerim, to converts. Because converts, when they convert, they're being refined. Those souls from the goyim are being taken out, are being refined, purified, and entering to the proper place. So it's also connected to this. It says that is the physical gift of Anochi Anochi. That it's like I said, it has to do with the refinement of the good from the bad, and the physical gift that was being hinted at is the converts that you will receive. Because the converts, when they convert, that's a refinement of the good from the bad. And we see in history that many big converts progressed and pushed our religion, our Torah, our Yahadut to where it is today. Who are they, for example? He gives you a list right here. Rabbi Akiva, who was from descendants of converts. Huge gift. Without him, we have nothing. No Torah today. Shemaya and Naftalion, these two converts. Shemaya and Naftalion. I actually have uncles, both of them. One uncle, his name is Shemaya, the other one was Naftalion. Very rare names. But they were converts who were leaders of the entire Jewish nation at the time. Very early. In the beginning of Pirkei Avot, it goes through the reigns, the eras of who ruled the Jewish people one after another. One of them was Shemaya and Naftalion. One was Av Bedin, the other one was a president. They were converts, but they were huge in Torah. They had their own yeshivot, and all the major chachamim after that learned with their yeshivot. Hillel is again, for example, Bet Shammai, Bet Hillel, they learned by Shemaya and Naftalion. Two converts as well. And we have other ones, Rabbi Meir also, Rabbi Meir, who has a huge contribution to the Mishnah and the Gemara. He's all over almost on every page. He was also from converts. If you want to look more into that, we have a lecture who he came from. He came from Nero. Nero was a Roman general who was sent to destroy the temple, the second temple, by the Caesar. That's chapter 7 of our book, Yosef. We have on the same channel about 4 or 5 lectures about that story of Nero, how Nero converted and eventually gave birth to Rabbi Meir that came from him. And now in the future, Am Yisrael is going to request from God that you should double our ketubah. What does it mean? That you should do another refinement and take out from the nations all of those holy sparks of good souls that got stuck by them, that they need to convert. Bring all them back to us in the future. And and the point is a very important point there. Why? Because in the future, once Mashiach comes, there's not going to be any more converts. The last group of converts, whoever they're going to be, is going to be right before Mashiach comes. Why? Because once Mashiach comes, and the whole world is going to know that Am Yisrael is true, Torah is true, and there's no more test. There's no more converts. We're not going to accept you. Now that you know the winner of the game is, you're going to join our team? No. You have to join the team before the game is over. That's how it works. So that is the gift, the double gift, that not only are we going to have the deep connection with God, we're also going to have all our converts that are going to come back to Am Yisrael and bring us up to the ultimate point like they have been doing so far. Baruch Adonai Ne'olam. Amen ve amen.